Welcome back to the Integra that we just picked up. I've been going through and doing a bunch of like service items. So we've already replaced the distributor because it was making noise. I have it sitting over there. I went through it. The rotor bolt had actually fallen out. I don't know if this is loose still. Yep. So the rotor bolt had actually fallen out, and it was actually sitting right there on that magnet. I think it completely fell out now that I moved it, but either way, the rotor, this is how it was. It was sitting in there just like this. It was also missing the spring on the coil, which you can see in there. It's just been like arcing on top of that coil, which is pretty crazy because it was still running. And it was also missing this piece, this nut or bolt right here, screw, I guess. I'm not sure if it's inside there somewhere. I haven't really gone through the whole thing to look. But either way, we just went ahead and scrapped that for now because it is leaking pretty bad as well. So we just went ahead and scrapped that for right now. And other things that I've done to this car, I'm not really planning on spending a bunch of time on this car, but when I do get these, I always try to go through the main key components because I have a lot of people that want to literally buy the car and they want to drive it off. And I mean, that completely makes sense, because who doesn't want to be able to just drive off in a car? But the problem is that a lot of people buy these cars and they're 90s cars. They're wanting them because sometimes they find them cheap on Marketplace and they're like, oh man, that's a really good deal. I've always wanted a Honda. They run forever, you know, blah, 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 blah. 10 years ago, that was probably the case. But now that a lot of people are replacing the distributors with non-OEM distributors, the parts that we're getting are cheaper. They're replacing them with non-OEM parts that, you know, lasted that 20 years at that point. So it completely makes sense that people buy these cars, and unfortunately I see it all the time. They buy the car, it runs for a month, 2 months, maybe 6 months, but it starts getting worse and it starts declining, whether it be from the engine going out or the distributor going out, or a fuse blew and they just don't know how to work on these cars. Which, granted, I know a lot of people say that it's really easy to work on these cars, but there is a lot of quirks, especially if someone has already modified something. So if the harness is chopped up, if they replaced something that wasn't OEM and it needed a different pigtail, yada yada yada. There's so many variables that go into these cars. Luckily, this is a all original car. The harness isn't chopped up, but there are still quite a few things that just needed attention. One of them being this right here. So this was actually the terminal, the power terminal that was on there. And was it working? Absolutely. I drove this car and it ran fine, but this is exactly how it was. The clips were missing. There was no bolt in there. It was all super corroded. So I went ahead and got another one. No, this is not OEM. I couldn't find another OEM one that had the ABS power wire on here. So I had to cut the ends, put a new terminal on here that will work and, obviously stays on there. Cleaned up the grounds a little bit and obviously did the distributor. But when I did the distributor, the crappy part was that cover, the spark plug cover, was actually on here, and I tried to get the nuts off yesterday, and the problem was that it was seized down onto this nut because they put them too tight on that piece and they were seized onto this. And so when I was trying to back the top nut off, these were coming with it, and I thought it was the stud that was coming out, because that does happen every once in a while. So I was like, crap. So I ran those back down. I left the cover on here, but the problem was I had taken the distributor off, and these cables, these aftermarket ones, are not labeled. And obviously, like, I didn't label them, just thinking, oh, I'll just take the cover off real quick and pop them back on. Well, of course, I had to go all the way backwards. I tried to guess and put these on because I could only see the wires from here out. So I tried to put these on in the order that I thought maybe they came off of, and I put it on 3 different times, didn't run right. So I was like, crap, I got to get that cover off. So this morning I said, okay, I'm just going to pull the whole cover off, redo it all, and just do it all right. And luckily I got all the nuts off and I got the cover off and I pulled the spark plugs out. I blew out the holes. There was a little oil residue inside of them, but it wasn't anything like a leak. It was just sort of like, you know, residual, probably from changing the cover before. I don't know, but it wasn't bad enough or concerning enough to really dive that deep into it. But since I was there, I went ahead and pulled the spark plugs, cleaned out the holes, and then cleaned the spark plugs as well. And then I wanted to do a compression test. And so far I've only done one. But as you can see, this one is at 210 right here at cylinder 1. So, you know, all of them follow suit, which I'm assuming they will be somewhere around the 200 mark because it does run really well. But I'll go ahead and make a video. I wanted to kind of dive into doing a compression test on these. Obviously, it's very simple. You take out the spark plugs and you put in the you know, compression tester, thread it in snug, not super tight, but snug, so it doesn't have, you know, it seals up. But also, since you have the ignition and everything hooked up, you want to go ahead and pull the injector clips off, because you don't want to fill up the cylinders with gas while you're cranking it, because it will start to pulse the injectors and you'll start flooding the cylinders, and you don't want gas shooting up out of there and, you know, causing, you know, havoc and all that. So when you're doing the compression test, make sure and take all of the spark plugs out. Don't do just one and leave the other 3 in. You need to go ahead and pull all of the spark plugs out. Make sure it's clean, make sure there's nothing in there, blow it out with air, whatever, and then go ahead and remove the injector clips, so that way none of the injectors are firing. And obviously, you don't need to unplug the distributor because you have the plug wires pulled out. Could these arc on something? Possibly, but it's not really something that's going to be concerning. You know, just leave them like that. You're only going to crank it a few times. So we went ahead and did that. And then to bleed that off, we just let that out like that. I'll see if I can maybe set the camera up here somewhere. All right, so I went ahead and took it out of this one, let the pressure out, took it out into cylinder 1, put it in cylinder 2, snugged it up nice and tight. I haven't cranked the car over yet, so we'll go ahead and crank the car over. Typically, I think people probably say like maybe, I don't know, 8 to 10 revolutions. If the engine's good, I mean, shoot, 5, 6 is gonna be more than enough to be able to tell where that compression's at. It should jump up pretty high, pretty fast. So that's, you know, it's about 8 something around there, 7, 8, 9. I don't know, wasn't really counting. It doesn't matter. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, yeah, see right there, 210, and that was 8 cranks. If you're having to crank it 10 times and you're only over here to like 150 or 120 or shoot, even 90, and you've already cranked it, you know, 10 times, doing 20 times is not gonna get you to 210. It's done, like you're KO'd, you're done on compression. So I do wanna make a video about how to put this in. Reason why is just because I've seen people strip these out. I mean, that's how tight I had it. I can do it with one hand in there. It does have a seal on it. You don't need to crank these things down. I've seen multiple people put these in and cross thread them, or they put them in tight and then they can't get them back out. And, you know, you guys just be smart about, you know, what you're putting in there. I mean, that's what the setup looks like. So it's got a little O-ring on the, it's got a little O-ring on there that's gonna seal that anyways. So, you know, if that isn't sealing it, then you got bigger problems. But see, you can see a little bit of oil residue on there from putting it down in that hole. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean that off, and then I'm gonna put it in cylinder 3, and then we'll do this again. All right, so fresh start again. I went ahead and cleaned that debris that was on there from that cylinder on the outside of the threads. So we've already done 1, it was 210. We've already done 2, it was 210. Now we're gonna do 3. Haven't cranked it yet. We're gonna go in and crank it. I have this just one hand snug tight. So let's go in here, crank it up real fast. Do a couple cranks. Probably do, you know, 6, 7, 8, whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. So 8 cranks. We'll try to keep it similar on the last 2, just so you can see that it isn't going to make a difference. Yep. So again, 210 on cylinder 3. That's looking really, really good. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that 4 is gonna be the same way, but we're gonna do it just in case. I love doing this because this way I can verify it, I can put it out on the internet, and it's there forever. So when someone buys this car, and I can say, yep, you can go check out the videos on YouTube. This is everything we change, it's documented. If you put it on paper, obviously you can put whatever you want on paper, but when you do it live on video, I mean, obviously there are people that could probably go through and skew the compression. You know, you could do all sorts of stuff, but I mean, you guys saw me literally go in and crank it, literally come out and check the gauge, and there's no interference there. So that's why I like being able to do this now and show people that, hey, look, like, go check out the YouTube, you know, go check out the Facebook. I put everything on there so people can see this kind of stuff, and also help people along the way with showing them those little tips. You know, especially if you're gonna go buy a car, man, just pull up and tell them, hey, look, like, you said it's good, I just want to verify it. Go get a compression tester. You can go get these at O'Reilly's for, I don't know, 20 bucks probably. I don't remember how much it was, but you can literally go buy that at O'Reilly's, set it up. It's very easy to take all that stuff out, literally do a compression test right there in front of the customer and say, hey, look, like, I know you said it's good, but you got, you know, 60 PSI on cylinder 4, and that's not gonna fly with me. You know, this motor's hurt, you know, yada, 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 and go from there. Whether you buy it or not, it's up to you. Some people want projects, some people don't, but this is a great way to verify and show that you have a good engine before you buy it. Very simple. So let's go ahead and do cylinder 4. All right, so basically I just spliced in a clip of where we were just at that you just saw. I'm still in cylinder 3 right here at the 210 compression. I just wanted to make a little video of what it should feel like when you put it into another cylinder and how tight it should be, because like I said, it should not be overly tight. You just want to make sure that that's nice and clean. Yeah, so this one came out pretty decent. There wasn't much on there, so I'll go ahead and just stick it in the next one. When you run this down, you just kind of want to feel around a little bit, let it catch a couple threads, and once you get it in, you know, 1 or 2 threads, you should be able to just wind it out like this and go ahead and spin it down, and it'll snug down, I don't know, probably after 10 full rotations. Kind of snug it up like that, droop the gauge over. So I'll go ahead and pick you guys up, and like I said, so we're in cylinder 4 now, 0 compression, so we'll go in and turn it. So we did 8 cranks last time, so we'll go ahead and do 8 cranks this time. And so that way these last 2 cylinders for sure will be, you know, even the amount. Like I said, even if you did 10, 11, 12, whatever, it wouldn't matter. If it's good, it's going to show good after, you know, 6 to 7, 8 cranks. So I know you guys keep hearing that door lock. That's a pretty common issue in these for some reason. I don't really know why, but at least they work. So let's see what we got. Yep. Now this one's even actually better. I don't know, maybe we did 11 cranks, I don't know. But yep, over 210. Man, we are way up there in compression. So yeah, this engine definitely running good. I've had it running outside for, you know, I wouldn't say an hour, but I've had it running long enough to where I know that it does not overheat. There is no signs of any damage to this. This has been said to have been rebuilt. It does sound very healthy, aside from that distributor, obviously. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all buttoned up, and then we're gonna plug in the distributor. I haven't tested this one. When it came off, I know it was good. But again, it's been sitting on a shelf. It's been, you know, messed around with, blah, 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 blah. So either way, I'm gonna get all this cleaned up. We're gonna put the plugs in and all that, and then we're gonna test that distributor, make sure that thing fires up, and we'll go from there. So these are the plugs that came out of it. They are a little worn, but we're still working fine. Doesn't show any signs of damage or you know, detonation or running too rich or running too lean. These are what good plugs should look like. You know, definitely not bad. So we're gonna go ahead and pop those back in. All I did was spray them with brake cleaner to get off some of that oil residue. So we'll go ahead and pop those in. Trying to let them fall in there too hard. I always kind of chase it in with my finger a little bit. Again, kind of jiggle it around a little bit. Make sure you get 1 or 2 threads in there, and then you're good. You know, you definitely don't want to strip out one of these because this is aluminum, and I'm not saying it's easy to do. I mean, I have seen it, but man, we've had we've had one VTEC head that was already pulled off, and I took it to the machine shop with the plugs in it because, man, I was afraid. I was pretty afraid that those things were going to break trying to pull it out. I mean, it was to the point where I was putting a breaker bar on it, and I was like, man, this is not good. You know, nothing. It should not be that tough at any time. It shouldn't be that tough. So I'd already threaded this in, you know, several turns, so that way I know that I'm safe to go ahead and start spinning these down. And kind of do this number until you get tight. And I know this is not like very high level stuff, but again, for someone that buys these cars, you know, this is just to go and show you that it is very simple to be able to do things like this. Routine maintenance, changing spark plugs, changing valve cover gaskets, changing some seals. You know, go ahead and give that a little crank. These plugs have already been kind of weathered in, so I know that I don't have to really worry about cranking these down. They're not gonna come undone. When you put in new plugs, it's kind of iffy how tight you should really put them. A lot of times it'll feel like they just keep going and going and going, and you know, it kind of freaks you out, because it still freaks me out, like putting in new plugs. And I've put in thousands of new plugs. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get these all lined up here, wherever these are at. Can't really tell because it's got these clips on here, but on there. So those look good. Those are flipped around. So put that one in there, that one in there. Okay. All right. So now that I have those in there, I'll make this video also included in this. So these are going to be your cylinders, obviously cylinder 1, cylinder 2, cylinder 3, cylinder 4. So I'm going to go ahead and push these down so they pop onto the plugs. Push those down and make sure they clip in. If they don't make that kind of like little clip sound, I would definitely take a look, because you definitely want those to be seated in there all the way. So when you come over here on the distributor, so you're going to grab cylinder 1. So this is the furthest one away, cylinder 1, and that's going to be this one down here on the very bottom on the front side. So we'll push that in there, and then we'll grab cylinder 2. So cylinder 2 is going to be the one right next to that. Try to get that little piece in there, get that jammed in there. So then we'll grab cylinder 3. So cylinder 3 is going to be right here on this side of the distributor, back over to this side, and then cylinder 4 is going to be right here. So cylinder 4. All right, now that we have all those in, now we can go ahead and clip the injectors back in. Clip these in. These are very easy to do on OBD2 cars. Thankfully, OBD1 cars are a little bit more of a pain in the butt, but so we're good there. Everything's clipped in, everything's plugged in. The only thing I don't have done is this ground wire right here. I know this is a big debate in the Honda community, but this is actually where it goes per the service manual. It actually does go on the stud because the stud collects from down here on the head. So we'll go ahead and tighten that down a little bit. Not that it really needs it at this point, because I'm guaranteed that it will still run without it, but some cars it does run a lot better with it. All right, second check, just make sure everything's out of the way. So I have some of that stuff unplugged. Yeah, it looks good. So let's go ahead and fire it up. I know this is kind of a long video, but I have a little bit extra time today, so might as well. All right, there we go. Fires right up. Yes, sir. So we are good. Distributor's good. All right. So we are good on that. So I'll make another video about what we do to it. That's, I mean, I am planning on doing a little bit more today to it, but this video is getting pretty long. I don't really tend to make that long of videos. It still does kind of have a little noise in the lifter area that I can hear. So I might go ahead and pull the valve cover off and then do a valve adjustment just to go ahead and double check all that. You can never be too safe. And you know, obviously with it being rebuilt, that's obviously a good thing to check because you never know. Something could have backed off, something could be loose, could have a little bit of out of valve lash, whatever. But I hope that helps some people. If you're gonna go buy a Honda, or if you wanna buy this Honda, you know, definitely hit us up. Let me know if you have any questions about stuff like this, if you need another video. I really do love making this content. It's just pretty hard to make by myself. But I think that's it for today. So we'll probably end the video here and we'll check you on the next one. All right, so I just wanted to add this back to the video. So after doing the compression, still hearing the noise after changing the distributor, and just wanting to go ahead and pull the valve cover just to verify it. It does definitely look like it has been rebuilt and then put back together and then cleaned, because you can tell that it was previously stained and pretty dark. And that typically just shows, you know, a motor that has not necessarily not been taken care of, but it just shows that it is a higher mileage engine, and you can tell that some of it is stained, and obviously it has been cleaned, and then it wasn't probably deep cleaned, because all of it is not silver. It's kind of that gold color, but if you do wipe it off, it actually turns back to the silver, so it's kind of got a little glaze to it still. But nonetheless, I did do the valve adjustment. The exhaust side was just a hair loose. It wasn't out of tolerance, but it was just a hair loose. But the intake side on all of them were, I wouldn't say extremely loose, but definitely loose enough that I had to go through and readjust them all and redo all of them on the exhaust side. So I would say they were probably out of tolerance enough to where they were probably at like a 10 thousandths, and I needed somewhere around 7. So I do 0.007 intake and 0.008 exhaust. And I could definitely get like a 10, like a 0.010 in the intake, which is not gonna be okay with me. So we went ahead and did that valve adjustment. The belt doesn't look like it's in too bad a shape. It probably is a little loose, but I have a guy that wants it, and if he does buy it, then he wanted to do more maintenance on it anyways. I'm gonna say that that's probably okay to go ahead and send as is. Obviously this is not a performance car. This is something that we can clean up. Someone that wants to kind of have like a little bitty project but still be able to drive it. So, you know, that's kind of what we're going with here. But nonetheless, I gotta go get a valve cover gasket and then get all that. I got most of it cleaned up, and I got the valve cover cleaned up. It's pretty dirty inside, but that's mostly just stained. So I always clean the edges and make sure there's no Honda bond there. You know, make sure and clean all those out and make sure there's no Honda bond there, and obviously no oil and grease. So that's pretty much ready. So I'm gonna get a gasket tomorrow, put this together, but I'm gonna post this video tonight.
and then we'll keep going on this.